You are the first South Carolina baseball alum that I've talked to that has been pre-Ray Tanner era. And that isn't to make you feel bad or anything, but I think it's really interesting because like most of the South Carolina baseball history you talk, it feels like Ray Tanner is all of South Carolina baseball history. But people forget, Carolina baseball was a thing before Coach Tanner was there, and you played under June's reins, who obviously was a great manager in his own right. But talk about the recruiting process for you again. You choose South Carolina, you're from the local area. And I know I would imagine the landscape of Gamecock baseball was a little bit different back then than it is now, of course. But just talk about the recruiting process like for you again, being a standout in the local area and choosing to stay home and go to South Carolina.
Yeah, like you said, it was a lot different back then. And before Coach Raines, it was Coach Richardson. And South Carolina baseball in the 70s was legendary. And in the 80s, it had a little stretch where it tapered off a little bit. But my recruiting process was probably different than most because my oldest brother, Trip, was recruited. He was 3 years ahead of me. So Trip was recruited, played 3 years. And Bert, my other brother, was a year ahead of me. So when I started getting recruited, they both were already playing at USC. So my recruiting visits, my dad actually signed pro out of high school and was going to Clemson to play baseball. So probably nobody knows that, and signed a football scholarship at Citadel. But Trip was there, Bert was there, my two older brothers. So there wasn't a whole lot of recruiting that Coach Raines had to do. I think the only time he saw me play was a basketball game in high school because it was kind of a done deal. And then my youngest brother, Brandon, was coming to South Carolina as well. But he was a first-round pick out of high school, so he never made it. So, it was just where my brothers were. I went down the weekends, had fun before I got there, and just knew that was where I wanted to play. But it was just baseball was completely different back then.
Well, I'm just curious when you got there, though, like what was the landscape of Carolina baseball? I mean, was it because, like I said, when I think of South Carolina baseball, and we talk Ray Tanner and the establishing the program from when he got there to going to Omaha, it felt like every other year, and then of course culminating with the back-to-back national titles, and I guess how we think of Carolina baseball today. I mean, I would still imagine the program was thought of in a very like high standing, correct? I mean, there was still a very proud tradition up to that point.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of great players that came through. And I think my last year we finished 15th or 16th in the country. And it was different. All you had back then were regionals. We ended up in Miami for regional and got knocked out the last game before going to the World Series. But Coach Raines did a great job. Coach Canner just kind of came in and took everything to another level. But the atmosphere at Sarge Fry was unbelievable when people came in to play us. We were thought of as one of the best baseball environments. You had the third base hecklers, and my freshman year, Wichita State came in to play us, and they had just won the national championship the year before. So, the different thing a lot of people forget is we're in the Metro Conference. So my first 2 years, we were Metro playing Florida State, Southern Miss, Louisville, Virginia Tech, and then we moved to the SEC my junior year. And that's, I think, kind of where I think the program started making a jump to the next level.